Hey everybody, welcome to today's daily market commentary. It is Monday, the 13th of November. Hope everybody had a great trading day and a great weekend. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson. We're going to do what we do each and every day in the daily market commentary. We look at the same 10 to 12 futures markets and we leave the lines on the charts so that as we're looking at our opportunities, we can see exactly where they form and what they are. So let's go ahead and get to it. Our first market today being the ES, so the S&P 500. Yesterday we had talked about a level down here as a potential reversal if price got down to that level. We did not make it down that far. We fell in the overnight hours. There was some fairly heavy sell-off in overnight trading. We then rallied back up off of that area to be exactly where we closed on Friday. So essentially the market was full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Came down, went back up, but really not a whole lot in there. Now this, is it possible that we could have caught this small time frame entry down here? Yeah, it's possible, but this is not really one that I would have taken as a higher probability area. Simply because that area has a number of repeated touches into that fair price level, and the more times that it's in there, the more I think it may be kind of eroding the amount of excess inventory in that fair price level. So I'm going to let that be. As far as our next market, Sorry, wrong market. I was looking at some other things today. Is the NQ. So looking here at the NQ, we'd have our level in the NQ. Now today's NQ level, we had put this small time frame opportunity up yesterday as a potential short. And today on the Twitter feed, we had posted that price was starting to come near that level. And as it did come near that level, it didn't quite reach the entry and started to sell off. Now, what I didn't like about the arrival into that area was the profit margin that was remaining. And you see all of this. This sideways price action tells me that there was a fair price area right in here. That fair price area means that there was a balance between buy orders and sell orders, and that balance of buy orders and sell orders really allowed price to kind of just chop along in there. Now, if price had shot up into that level, it would have meant that I would have wanted to take my first target right in here, which is about a 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So while I still think, that this area up here is valid, and I like the fact that we've come close to it a couple times without being able to get into it, because what that's doing is that's eliminating any of those other excess sellers that are hanging around down here, that when price does get there, it could give us a much better fall. Ultimately, we still believe in this area down here on the hourly chart as a better opportunity to get long on the return. So nothing really showed itself today for me to take a flyer. Crude oil. Now, yesterday we had talked about this as a potential breakout, and look at this. Price came down, and this is what I would consider a false breakout. Now, the false breakout is really this area here, and a lot of people were going to be short on this, a breakout below this line. This is what a lot of traditional traders would use as their potential breakout level, but I would never use this because it doesn't have rule number one. It doesn't have room to roam, right? We talked about room to roam. So we didn't talk about this level yesterday, and I would consider this a false breakout. And this is really, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that there's people out there actively hunting some of the breakout traders. If you're doing it the wrong way, then you can get caught up. And that's exactly what happened today. And look at how price came into here and then boom, shot back up. Now, could you have taken a long on that move down? Yeah, so there was an opportunity if you're a very small time frame person. Actually, it's on the 5-minute chart. If you're a very small time frame person on that 5-minute chart, you could have had this area here highlighted. I did not. It's a little too small time frame for my taste, and so the breakout is still the play below that area there. It's gold. Gold has not yet reached our small time frame entry point for a possible resistance. We are putting in, though, an area that could turn out to be a breakout. So we hit this level a few times. This could be a breakout here. In a perfect world, I would see this touched one more time and then come down. Now, the thing I don't like about this is that I don't have a real big pivot over here to the left to use as kind of an anchor for the breakout line. So while it is a breakout to the upside with plenty of room to roam, I would be pretty tight on the stop on that area. Next, let's go to our bond markets. So bond markets today, so the bond market has come into a potential buying area. This one met entry on the buying area we had talked about, I think last week or even yesterday, and the price has rallied up out of that area. So some of you may have caught that move on this little touch and go on that bond area. Now we've come all the way down to here. So this level was effective. It did meet. It's about a 2-to-1 reward to risk. And remember, your profit objective is going to be at the next opposing fair price area. And here's our fair price area where we've got that buyers and sellers playing nicely together. That tells me that was considered a fair price. As price came into that fair price area, it then reversed and came back down. So now this area here, we have to remove because this is no longer going to be valid for what we're looking at. And now we're going to look a little bit deeper into a better opportunity. And I'm going to look up here to a selling opportunity if price comes back. And the reason for that is because when I go out to the daily, right, my daily time period, I still think there's room for price to get down to this range. And yesterday we talked about the hourly chart, that when it met that entry, be quick to take profits. And that's exactly what it did today. So we're going to take a look at above current price, where might be an entry, and move down to the 15-minute chart. Right in here is where you're really going to have, I think, your best noise, your best opportunity, if indeed you get a little bit of a return. So I'm going to put this in purple because purple dictates to us that it is a fairly small time frame level. And remember, anytime it's a smaller time frame, we've got a slightly lower probability of success, but we're also taking a bit less risk, and those levels are going to be a bit smaller. So leave that in mind. Now, I like this mostly because it allows you to ride the wave, if you will, of price continuing to fall, and I think down to this 123.23 area would be the number. In the Aussie, so the Aussie, we are just now getting the breakdown on the Aussie position. So if you are short this Aussie on the breakdown, your stop would be just above the prior pivot high. So I'm going to put a red line here for our stop above the prior pivot high. Okay, so this Aussie breakdown has finally occurred. We've been waiting on this one for, a few days. So this one is in place. Don't know how many of you were able to jump in on that one or not. And you got to give it a little bit of room because you've got to put it above the prior pivot. That's what we talked about on our video where we did breakout trading last week, putting your stop above the prior pivot. The euro is giving me a potential breakout setup, but I'm not going to fall for it. I just don't. There's a little too much noise up here in this long wick right there. I'm not sure I would get the room to roam that I want. So I'm going to leave the euro be for now. We still have a level of a selling opportunity up above us. Canadian dollar, that level just has continued to hold. It's a fairly strong one. I'm going to leave everything as is in the Canadian. We might get a little bit of a reversal. There's a little bit of a reversal potential at this area right down in here. Now, the thing I don't like about it is that this area has already touched one time, which means that there is a lower probability that it's going to continue to work a second time, but it is still a potential opportunity going forward. Looking at a few of the others. So Nat Gas, we had the breakout Nat Gas. It wasn't really moving. I'm going to remove this line because this is just not performing the way we'd expect it to perform. And so it is done for me. There's really nothing in Nat Gas that I like at the moment. I'm going to let that one be for a few days. Let it cool off. The Great British Pound. We got the breakout on the Great British Pound. It rallied up to this opposing area right here. This is one of the reasons why it's not always a great idea to hold things over a weekend, as hopefully you were able to take some profits on this rally, on this breakout to the upside, because over the weekend we had this huge move down in the pound as it has continued to fall ever since it's opened on Sunday evening. It opened lower and then just immediately traded lower. I think it's going to continue to go lower, so I've got to remove this one here, but I don't really have a great entry point for it at the moment. Japanese yen, we still have the same exact setup in the yen that we've had for a number of days, this being our reversal buying opportunity. And then copper. Now, copper today rallied up into the retest of the breakdown. So we've kept our line for the breakdown, and today it rallied up into the retest of the breakdown. This was not one that we had posted. I didn't have this level posted because I wasn't a huge believer in the retest of this breakdown. I didn't expect it to shoot up quite so quickly. So I'm going to remove this one. And so this one, you may have met entry on this. It's starting to come down out of here, and if it is, great. I didn't have that ahead of time, so I'm going to remove that one and just kind of let that one be. So right now in copper, there's nothing that is striking me, so I'm going to leave that be for the moment. So that being said, that is our daily market commentary for today. If you've got any questions or you want to reach out to me, do me a favor, shoot me an email or give me a comment and share the page, like it with others. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you stopping by. Talk to you soon. See you.